Hello, everyone, and welcome to
Sustainability Time.
My name is Abby,
My name is Alex.
and today we are going to be interviewing Heal.
Yes.
Today we have Gabby and Michelle. Do you mind starting off with how or what your club stands for?
HEAL is, it stands for Health Equity for AAPI Leadership, and we're a pre-health club that is new and developing, and we come together to provide resources and mentorship for pre-health students, as well as prioritizing, discussing discrepancies in the pre-health experience, the healthcare experience, and we want to have our future providers be knowledgeable and advocate for.
Could you expand on what you mean, like what API communities go through, like specifically like in healthcare?
Yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon for marginalized communities, like being socioeconomically disadvantaged or just like ethnically marginalized communities, to experience these disparities. They range from like having mistrust in providers or having like a language barrier that causes them to not achieve the most profound care that they can get.
I think in addition to that, there may be some cultural barriers too. Like there are certain things that are stressed in certain cultures, and I think that it's really important for healthcare providers to understand how to deal with that, just so that they won't come off as culturally insensitive, or as Michelle said, so that they could provide the most efficient care that they can for all communities.
One more question that I have is like, what is one thing about like your Vietnamese culture, Filipino culture, Chinese culture that you guys love the most?
I really appreciate that we're family centered. A lot of our like morals and values kind of like center around our family and our most loved ones. So I feel like everything that we do is kind of just to like honor them and to make the best of your own heritage.
Yeah. On the same note, the culture is also very similar in the Philippines. We like to really focus on community and making a difference, kababayan meaning community. And I think in a way that also kind of intersects with sustainability as well, because we emphasize a lot on how we could come together as a community to kind of make a difference, whether it be in public health or if it's towards the environment, and having that relationship not just with each other but with nature as well. So it's really cool to see how like all of our different cultures can kind of intersect and relate to one another in that sense.
I always grew up with like the mindset of don't waste food, like specifically. And I feel like that's something that I'm very proud to like I think that that's a value that I'm proud to have. I think just like being mindful of everything that we use, and I think that also kind of raised me to try and be more sustainable. So yeah, not wasting for me is something that I really appreciate in my culture.
I guess we could start with, and then we can move towards later that question. But I guess like what I want to ask first is how the healthcare profession can view the environment and sustainability. I know that there was this class that one of my friends took. I think it was like environmental sociology, and she did this project on like something like injections and like the waste that it creates or something like that. That was like one of the first examples that I've ever like found out about when it came to hospitals and healthcare kind of like tying in with sustainability. So I wanted to ask, speaking for the general healthcare community, how you guys view the environment.
I think what you mentioned before really ties into it a lot, like how you dispose of hazmat material or hazardous material or sharps, right? So things like injections or like the little glucometer like prick that you get at the doctor to like draw blood, kind of. You can't reuse these things.
Yeah.
So you have to dispose of them properly. But then when you really think about it, where is it all going? How do they dispose of it? And I think, if I remember correctly, it gets burnt. I forget what the word is. Do you know the word for like what they do? It's like yes, it gets incinerated. So it's like, even then, what happens with like the CO2 emissions from the fire? So that's, I think, an issue that we kind of have to try to come together and figure out if we could figure out a better way to do this, or other material that we could use and somewhat recycle in a sense. But not only that, you can also look at it from the perspective and see how different environmental changes can affect our health too. So like fires, is the air that we're breathing suitable enough? Like, is this causing certain problems in our health? Or like seasonal changes, right? People get allergies. So how does that affect our health? Like I was even told once, because I had to get checked out for a knee that I tore, but it's been healed.
Oh my God.
Heal.
Period.
But I was like, so what's the issue then? And I was told, well, typically like when it rains, things start.
Is that the like
start to
arthritis
hurt.
thing?
I'm not sure, but
Oh,
in a
okay.
way, like I don't think I have arthritis, but she was like, yeah, like it's just been rainy, so maybe that's why your knee is hurting. And it's like, really, like how does this all connect? So there's so many ways that healthcare or the environment has to be considered in healthcare.
Going back to talking about our culture, are there any traditional practices in your culture that promote sustainability in healthcare?
I think it's really big for Asian communities to use natural remedies for medicine instead of like resorting to like pharmaceutical drugs, which cause a lot of waste for the environment. And so I think within AAPI communities, we do a really good job of creating sustainability within the practices that we do, especially with the medicine that we are providing for ourselves. Also, like for preventative measures, I know like a lot of Asian cultures kind of like channel their like inner mind and energy,
Yes,
right? Like
yes,
Tai Chi
yes,
type
yes.
of thing, and like get their body moving from like an early stage in life, so it doesn't like further to something worse. So yeah.
I think in a sense, as amazing as it is, there could also be some drawbacks to that, especially surrounding mental health.
True.
If we have the idea that we have the cure within us and we have full control of our mind and body, then sometimes it could be easy to kind of disregard certain mental health issues specifically that we need like professional help with, or we need certain treatments with, and can't be as much as I hate to say, can't be kind of like treated with cultural practices and, you know, just like connecting mind and body and things like that. But in a way, like there are so many like pros and cons to both of these things too.
Very true, very true, very true.
I low-key wasn't even thinking about like mental health.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, wait, that's so true.
Yeah, that contradicts everything, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where the mistrust arises, right? It's like, oh, I don't need to go see a doctor. I
Yeah.
can fix it on my own. Some tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a that's
Yeah,
like
that's
a thing.
tea.
in,
Talk
like,
that tea.
Asian culture.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's like, oh, you're happy. What do you mean? Like you
yeah, you just need to get off your phone, drink some water,
right?
like.
you're not actually sad. Yeah.
I guess one other question that I wanted to ask was if there are any specific environmental health issues that disproportionately affect AAPI communities, and how can HEAL address those concerns?
We actually have an event coming up for that,
Ooh,
and
event.
we are focusing on the water disparities in AAPI communities, and it might not be the first thing that we think of, but it is a problem nonetheless, and something that definitely deserves a lot more attention to kind of think of a way to make sure that we kind of end this disparity and make sure that everyone has access to clean water. So I'd say that in certain AAPI countries that we could probably try to look for a way to solve this issue. So just like the water cleanliness and water disparities, clean water. Again, like it all comes back to the intersection between sustainability, our environment, and how this crosses with healthcare and, you know, like certain problems that might arise and illnesses that we might get because of the lack of access to clean water and because of issues in, you know, like our environment and pollution and such.
And another point to add that intersects with like sustainability and AAPI communities and their discrepancies is like advocating for them. Like a lot of these times these communities don't, like, I mean, it might be the only thing that they have, right? But a lot of the times like they don't know what they're having access to is really unsafe and really like unsustainable for their health and their community. And so like bringing a way to advocate for them from a distance away, you know, will give them the attention that they need and allow other communities to help as well.
All right, yay!
I was gonna say, was there anything else you guys wanted to add?
When is your GBMs?
Every 2 weeks.
Bi-weekly, 7 to 8 p.m. on Tuesdays.
Nice.
In Frey, 313.
Nice. All right, we'll see you next time on
Sustainability
Sustainability Time. Woo!